Hi everyone, Jordan from Tribal Habits here, and today I'm joined by our CEO and founder, David King. How are you, Dave?
I am well, Jordan. How was your weekend?
Excellent, really good. So today what I wanted to do is another one of our 7 questions in 7 minute sessions, and I want to focus on converting training online.
Okay.
So we're seeing a lot of Aussie businesses scrambling to do this at the moment, driven mainly by the fact that a lot of Aussies are working from home right now.
Yep.
And those traditional training methods don't really work anymore, whether it's face-to-face or workshops. And I know you've helped a lot of Aussie businesses through this process. So I thought it'd be great and useful for everyone listening if you could run us through your 7 challenges that you think organizations face, or 7 mistakes that they make when they're moving their training online. How does that sound?
Yeah, cool. Let's do 7 mistakes. I can think of probably more than 7, but that's a pretty good start.
Excellent. And I want to try and keep us to time here. So I'm going to set a timer. We've got 7 minutes. So you need to be as concise as possible. And let's have your first point.
Cool. So I think the first issue here is the difference between copying and converting. Yep. And so I see organizations that say they want to convert existing training to online, but when they actually sit down to do it, they just copy. And so literally they're using their mouse to kind of copy and paste into an online format. And they end up with just walls of text, just paragraphs and paragraphs of text. And I kind of get why they do it. It's often because the tools they're using don't give them any choices. So they're literally just copying into text boxes. They don't have kind of easy ways to do different text layouts like accordions or tabs or, narrated videos or animated images or whatever it is. And so they feel limited that way. And maybe that's a poor choice of tool. But I think about something like PowerPoint, which has their smart art feature where you can copy into PowerPoint into the one template, and it lets you lay it out in different formats. So every slide's a bit different and a bit more engaging, and you can quickly reformat or repurpose paragraphs of text into new looks and feels. And I think that's a good kind of starting point, that we're trying to convert to online, not copy. So we need to look for ways to take that offline material and use it properly in the online environment, not just copy and paste.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess the pasting process is such a big part of converting training online.
Yeah.
What are the other mistakes that people make in that area? There must be more.
There are, yeah. Look, I can probably think of 2 really practical ones, which are often not discussed, but are actually quite important. The first one is to do with formatting. So desktop-based formatting is quite different to online-based formatting. And it's a bit of a risk if you just copy it out of your PDF or your PowerPoint and just paste it into your online program. It often retains all of that desktop formatting, and you might be happy with that. You might think, oh, it's kept my fonts, which I'll get onto in a second, and it looks good. But actually what you've pasted in is a whole lot of hidden characters and hidden formatting. And then that can be a problem online for a whole range of reasons. It can make for very inconsistent layout between different devices. It can impact accessibility and screen readers. It can increase the file size. So you really want to copy and paste as plain text online, and then reformat using your online creation tool so that it's formatted correctly for the web and to use in a browser, not to use in a document, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
Cool. The other thing then is to avoid overuse of fonts. So reading on paper is much easier than reading on the screen. And perhaps on paper, you can handle a wider variety of formats and layouts. But on the screen, we need to simplify a little bit. If people are particularly using smaller devices like tablets and mobiles, we really want to keep the text really clean and neat. So I would recommend that you limit yourself to 2 fonts, kind of your main font and then maybe an alternate font you use to pop certain text, which means when you're converting, you might need to be stripping down or simplifying some of that fonts and not going totally overboard like you may feel you can do with hundreds of fonts in Microsoft Word.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really useful. I guess some of the ways we read on paper don't convert exactly to how we consume text on screen.
It is, and I think we can be more consistent offline with our Word or PowerPoint or slides because there's lots of fonts, but online between different browsers, different desktops, different systems, we want to try and keep ourselves just a couple of key web fonts.
Sure. So how about the structure and layout of online training? It's obviously very different to a workbook or what people may be familiar with in a traditional training environment.
Yeah.
Any tips or areas that you think people go wrong there?
Yeah, I think when you're offline, there tend to be natural breaks in content when we have to actually turn a page or turn a slide. And that helps kind of naturally chunk up content a little bit. And online, you need to be retaining that. it's easy not to, because a web page, moving down a page, can literally be unlimited length. You can just scroll, and there's no natural break to it. And I sometimes see people just copy pages and pages of text online. That's, again, the copying, not converting. And they end up with this overwhelming sense of content. And that's really a key mistake, is not to overwhelm your online learner. You need to be putting in chunks. You need to be putting in breaks. There's nothing more demoralizing than getting to the next part of your online module and seeing the scroll bar go zoop, really small on the side, and you've got pages and pages to kind of scroll. And so you start to rush and skip, and that's not what we want. We just want to feed little bits over to the online learner, which is why you do need to put in those breaks. In putting in the breaks, though, when we're offline and presenting, we kind of naturally deal with the breaks as a facilitator or presenter. We say, let's go to the next page, or now let's talk about this. And we have these little segues between the breaks. And online, when we put in those breaks, we need to retain those segues. And that might be where you need to type something new. You might be copying across content online, but now you've got to stop and say, okay, maybe I need to add in a sentence which is explaining what we're going to do next, or summarizing what we've just done, or giving them some feedback, like, you're going well, but we're halfway there. Those little things you'd naturally say offline, you need to put them in online. And again, that's more than copying. That's that conversion part as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's all about how do we present the material. Don't make it too big. So we need to break it up. But when you break it up, make sure that it's not disjointed and that it hangs together, that there's a logical flow to it all.
Correct. So we're going to put it into blocks, but we've got to put in that little bit of mortar between the bricks to kind of make it all stick together.
Excellent. So how about the sort of visual aspect of online training? It's obviously very different to having someone stand up in front of you and run you through a face-to-face training session. Where do people go wrong with that side of things?
Yeah, I feel like we can probably do a few more of these discussions just based around that. So let's pick one common mistake I'd see today, which is the use of images. So images are probably the easiest visual thing you can do, much easier than video, yet people stuff it up quite a bit. Images online need to be, again, converted, not just copied. You can't just hit print screen on your computer and paste in that image into your online format. It's often completely the wrong size, wrong shape, wrong format, wrong resolution. You've got a really big monitor, you hit print screen and you put in that, it can often just be really terrible resolution. The file can be really massive, can be formatted really badly. So having a bit of a good image editor, either built into your online platform, is the best thing, so that you can kind of edit it all in situ, like you can in Tribal Habits, or you've got to find an offline editor to do that. Another key tip is that most screens are landscape. So most online is landscape. And so you want your images generally to be landscape. We want to try and avoid long portrait-based images which don't fit on one screen, and I've got to scroll up and down to get the sense of the whole image. It seems really simple, but it's a really disconcerting thing to deal with as a learner.
Absolutely. So the clock is ticking here, Dave, and we're running out of time. We're fortunately at your final point. So if there's one last thing you'd like to leave people with, mistakes.
Yeah, I want to go back to that kind of concept of convert versus copy. And what we don't want to do here is death by PowerPoint via the internet. So the worst online learning is nothing more than a PDF document that is essentially a PDF document online. And I'm just scrolling through it and there's no engagement. There's no taking advantage of what we could do online. And that's, I just keep reiterating this point. We are converting existing training, not copying it. And so you need to make sure you've got comfortable with the online tool that you're using for creation and taking advantage of it, where you maybe are still copying and pasting paragraphs of text, but in a way where the online tool can convert that into something that's a bit more engaging.
Excellent. So that's all we've got time for today, guys. I hope you found this useful. Be sure to follow Tribal Habits on LinkedIn and YouTube. We're going to be posting videos like this every week. Big thank you to you, Dave.
No worries, Jordan. Thanks for having me.
And of course, if you're looking to move your training online to an intuitive, engaging platform, be sure to check out tribalhabits.com, and we'll put some links on the screen now for you to follow as well. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.